The distress beacon had been silent for 6 hours when Captain Vealora's scout vessel finally broke atmosphere above the wreckage. Sensors had picked up the crash 2 systems away, a human colony transport, the kind of vessel the Confederacy barely paid attention to. Humanity was new to the galactic stage, still finding its feet among species that had been navigating the stars for 10,000 years longer. Vealora had expected to find nothing but debris and silence. Instead, her scanners pulsed with a single heat signature, faint and flickering, buried beneath 3 meters of twisted hull plating. "Life sign confirmed," her co-pilot said, voice tight. "Small. Very small." They landed in a crater of scorched earth, the wreckage still hissing with venting coolant. Vealora led the extraction team herself, her 4-fingered hands tearing through metal with practiced efficiency, augmented by her exosuit's strength. When they finally pulled back the last sheet of plating, she found him. A boy. No older than 7 Earth years, curled into the corner of what had once been an escape pod, his small body wedged between 2 collapsed support struts that had, impossibly, held just long enough to create a pocket of survivable space. His face was streaked with dried blood and ash. His eyes, when they fluttered open, were the color of storm clouds, and they fixed on her without fear. Only exhaustion. "Mom," he whispered. Vealora's translator struggled with the word for half a second, cross-referencing human linguistic patterns. When it resolved, something in her chest tightened in a way she didn't have a name for. "Your mother is not here," she said gently, lowering her voice modulator to its softest setting. "But you are safe now. I am Captain Vealora." "What is your name?" "Ethan," the boy croaked. "Ethan Cross." "Where's my mom?" "Where's my dad?" Vealora looked past him, at the sealed section of the pod where 2 more heat signatures had registered, cold, now, and still. She made a decision in that moment that would later be debated in Confederacy Council chambers for years. "Rest, Ethan," she said. "I will get you somewhere safe." The boy did not let go of her hand for the entire 3-day journey back to the nearest medical relay station. He slept fitfully, often waking with a gasp, and each time, Vealora was there, not because protocol required it, but because something in her simply would not let her leave his side. When the Confederacy Medical Corps finally took custody of him for treatment, Vealora filed a full report, expecting it to vanish into the bureaucratic machinery like 10,000 reports before it. A human child rescued. Parents deceased. Routine, by galactic standards. Species died in transit accidents every day across 1,000 worlds. She did not expect what came next. Earth's response began quietly. A diplomatic inquiry, routine in tone, asking for details of the rescue and confirmation of the child's well-being. Vealora answered honestly, attaching footage from her suit's recorder, the crash site, the extraction, Ethan's small hand gripping hers. Within 48 hours, that footage had been broadcast across every news network on Earth. Vealora did not understand, at first, why a routine rescue had ignited such a response. The Confederacy had encountered thousands of sentient species. Most reacted to crisis with the cold calculus of survival. Humans, she would learn, did not operate that way. The Earth government did not simply thank her. They did not simply request the child's return, though they did that too, swiftly and through proper channels. What they did was something no other species in the historical record of the Confederacy had ever done in response to a single rescued individual. They sent a fleet. Not a fleet of warships, Earth's military was still embarrassingly outmatched by Confederacy standards, a fact every alien diplomat had quietly noted in briefing after briefing. Instead, Earth sent every available civilian and diplomatic vessel it possessed, escorted by what warships it could spare, carrying doctors, counselors, grief specialists, and, astonishingly, volunteers. Ordinary citizens who had seen the footage of a child crying for his dead parents and could not simply sit at home doing nothing. "This is unprecedented," the Confederacy Council speaker noted during an emergency session, reviewing the incoming transmissions. They have mobilized 12% of their entire spacefaring capability. For one child. Not just for the child, Vealora found herself saying, surprising everyone in the chamber, including herself. She had been called to testify about the rescue, expecting a brief formality. I have been reading their transmissions. They are not only coming for Ethan. They are coming because a member of their species was in danger, and they did not know if there were others. They are coming to make certain no human is ever again alone among the stars without someone watching for them. The chamber fell silent. When the human delegation arrived at the medical relay station, Vealora stood at the docking bay, uncertain of her role in what was to come. She had expected formal diplomats, stern and procedural. Instead, the first person through the airlock was a woman who walked directly past 3 Confederacy officials, ignored protocol entirely, and went straight to the medical bay where Ethan was recovering. Aunt Sarah. The boy's voice cracked through the corridor, raw with relief, and Vealora watched the woman drop to her knees and pull him into her arms, sobbing in a way that needed no translation. Later, when the immediate reunion had settled into quieter grief, Sarah Cross sought out Vealora directly. "They told me you stayed with him," she said. "Through the whole transport. That you didn't have to." It was not difficult, Vealora said, though she suspected that was not entirely true. "He is a child." He was frightened. "I have rescued many beings in my career, but I have never seen one so young face such loss with such," she searched for the human word, courage. Sarah's eyes welled again. "That's humans for you. We fall apart and keep walking at the same time." She extended her hand, a human gesture Vealora had studied but never received. "Thank you, Captain. From all of us. Earth doesn't forget this kind of thing." Vealora did not yet understand how true those words would become. In the months that followed, something shifted in the galaxy's quiet hierarchy of species. The Confederacy had long viewed humanity as a curiosity, aggressive in spirit, technologically adolescent, prone to a stubborn, almost irrational loyalty to one another that older species found inefficient. Resources spent on individuals rather than the collective were, by Confederacy economic models, a poor investment. But the footage of Earth's fleet, of ordinary ships flown by ordinary people, racing across the void for one small boy, spread through Confederacy media networks and would not stop spreading. Other species began asking uncomfortable questions of their own governments. "Would you have sent anyone for just one of us?" Trade requests with Earth tripled within the year. Diplomatic missions that had once treated human envoys as junior partners began extending invitations to full council sessions. The shift was not military. It was not economic, not at first. It was something stranger and harder to quantify: trust. Species across the Confederacy began to understand that if their citizens ever found themselves stranded, frightened, and alone among the stars, humanity was a people who would come for them too, not out of treaty obligation, but because that was simply what humans did. Captain Vealora found herself, against all expectation, invited to Earth as a guest of honor. She stood in a sunlit garden in a place called Ohio, watching Ethan Cross, 9 years old now, taller, steadier, but still carrying her name in every story he told about the day his world ended and a stranger refused to let go of his hand. "You're famous, you know," Ethan told her, grinning up at her with the easy confidence of a child who had been loved fiercely enough to heal. "They made a whole day about you. Captain Vealora Day. There's a statue." "That seems excessive," Vealora said, though something warm moved through her at the thought. "That's humans for you," Sarah said from nearby, echoing her own words from years before, and laughed. Vealora looked out at the gathered crowd, humans who had never met her, who knew her only as the alien who had pulled one of their children from the wreckage and refused to leave his side. They were not bowing, not offering the formal deference Confederacy custom demanded of those it honored. They were simply watching her with open, unguarded warmth, the way one might watch family return home. For the first time in her long career navigating the cold calculus of the stars, Captain Vealora understood what the Confederacy elders had missed about this strange, fierce, devoted little species. Humanity did not measure worth in numbers. They measured it in who they refused to leave behind. And because of one rescued child, the galaxy would never see them the same way again.